Welcome to the very end of day 2 of the REBNY PropTech Challenge, along with Connected Magazine. I'm here with an august panel of winners, and we are here. I guess I should introduce myself for those who don't know me. I am John Gilbert. I am Chief Operating Officer and Executive Vice President for the Rudin family here in New York. The family owns and operates over 15 million square feet of office space and residential properties. We are a company that is dedicated to our customers and creating the best possible experience we possibly can. And technology has been part of that trademark ever since the mid-90s, when we created 55 Broad Street, that many have called the godfather or grandfather of all smart buildings. And I'm also chair of the REBNY Technology Committee, and we created, this is I think our 4th year of running the PropTech Challenge. And what our goal here is to educate property owners and to bring PropTech companies that address certain problem sets that the committee has laid out. And today I'm going to introduce the finalists and ultimate winner of that PropTech Challenge with this afternoon's panel. And I should start by identifying what the problem sets were. What we wanted to do is to identify the best infrastructure platform, and the winner of that, or the finalist of that, was Radiator Labs. Matt Isaacs is with us today. The second problem set was to really focus on indoor air quality and wellness. And Devin Feeney of TBL is with us to talk about what they do. And the ultimate overall top vote getter is being represented by Sonu Panda, who's the CEO of Prescriptive Data. And I should, in interest of all transparency, I was not a judge. I did not vote, but there were 4 other real estate executives who did vote, and that ultimately were identified the problem sets and the companies that you're about to hear from in terms of how they address those problems. So I'm going to start with Matthew. Matthew, can you tell us a little bit about Radiator Labs and what you're doing in the residential world in terms of trying to bring thermostatic control into our old, dumb multifamily dwellings?
Absolutely. Thanks for that introduction, John. Just want to say that we're very happy to be here, and a big thank you from the team at Radiator Labs for REBNY and Connected Magazine. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Radiator Labs is a technology for radiator heated buildings. We're really an energy management platform for those classic New York buildings with radiators. But as you know, those buildings with steam heat, they cater to the coldest spaces in the building because of statutory heating requirements or guidelines, and that dramatically overheats the remainder of the building, leaving many residents miserably hot. So residents are often forced to open their windows just to modulate the room temperature, and that's hugely wasteful, expensive, and uncomfortable. So Radiator Labs is bringing steam heat or radiator heated buildings into the 21st century with a proprietary technology called the Cozy, which is an insulated, smart, networked thermostatic radiator cover. And a network of Cozies throughout the building allow buildings to save up to 25% on average in heating costs, up to 45%, and allow everyone to finally control their heating temperatures.
So Matthew, one of my biggest pet peeves is you walk down the street in the middle of winter, it's below freezing, and ultimately people have their windows open. So how are you actually solving that problem, and what is it about your product and the hardware that you create that is solving that?
Sure. Well, our radiator covers, our Cozies, are insulated, and they trap all of the heat that comes out of a radiator in any room of an apartment, a bedroom, a living room, is trapped inside. And then inside of the radiator cover, there's also a sensor, a fan, and some networking equipment. But the sensor reads the room temperature, and you set it, say you want 72 degrees. The minute the room falls beneath that set point, the fan will kick on and kick out some heat from the radiator cover. The minute the room temperature is satisfied, fan will turn off and trap all the remaining heat inside the cover. So you can set your desired temperature, and you don't have to open your windows to modulate your heating any longer.
Very interesting. Now, Devin, your company, TBL Building Sciences, is really focused on indoor air quality and wellness, which obviously, even before COVID, was a big issue. Now, in the middle of COVID and post-COVID, is a big issue. Tell us about what you do, how do you solve for that, and the value prop that you're bringing to property owners. Devin, I'm not hearing you.
Thank you very much, John. And we appreciate the entire property technology team for putting this together, and then obviously nominating us for Best in Showcase. TBL is an industry-leading building health and wellness technology company. Right now, our sole focus is real-time monitoring of indoor air quality with a roadmap to evaluate other indoor environmental parameters. We are a RESET accredited monitor provider, as well as a RESET accredited data provider that speaks to the quality and the accuracy of our hardware itself, as well as the software, which is extremely important and separates us from a traditional sensor that you may sort of experience through traditional BMS vendors. Our technology offers power over Ethernet, transportation layer security, cellular connectivity. So from a technology perspective, we do truly believe that we are offering our customers and our partners building IoT. On our software side, we allow our end users to set alerts, manage metric thresholds, simultaneously track building efficiency. Not only are we focused on optimizing indoor air quality, but we don't want to sacrifice operational efficiency, because we understand that although algorithms may be very aggressive right now to incorporate COVID-19 recommendations and considerations, we do believe that conservative algorithms will be in place after the global pandemic to assist with compliance with local laws such as Local Law 97. Our solution is an all-in-one solution. It's meant for in-duct applications as well as commercial interior applications. So that's sort of another differentiator between ourselves and any other competitors. We have systems meant for base building owners, managers, and engineers, which is an in-duct monitor that monitors the air that's being supplied to a space and subsequently returned back from that space. And then we do have a commercial interior monitor that provides a multi-parameter system that could future-proof a space and take the position of a carbon dioxide sensor. Some of the parameters that we're monitoring include static pressure, PM 2.5, PM 10, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, ozone. Ozone was something that we had included very recently due to the increase in traction of bipolar ionization. So we wanted to be able to provide engineers, building managers and owners the ability to lean on credible data and to be able to combat any sort of potential complaints related to byproducts of these processes. So it's sort of a little bit of a high-level overview of what we're offering.
So talk to me, Devin, about the bipolar ionization. We had looked at that, very concerned. I know some school districts, some states have actually banned that technology. What are you actually seeing in terms of the production of ozone as a result of the installation of that type of product?
Yeah, it's actually a great question. So for our base building owners, managers, and engineers, we are working 24/7, 365 with sustainability engineers, energy efficiency engineers, Local 94 operating engineers. And then on the commercial interior side, we've actually begun developing our own supplemental filtration systems to complement our indoor air quality monitors. So not only can we monitor the quality of the air in real time, but we can also filter that air in real time as well. And we've actually only leaned on conservative strategies that have been recommended by ASHRAE. So we do believe that high efficiency particulate filtration, HEPA filtration, in addition to UVGI, intentionally impacting airflow patterns, the location of supply grills and return grills, being able to optimize these conventional strategies that have been around for a long time can certainly assist with minimizing viral transmission. And you may not need to evaluate or dive into some of these newer technologies that could potentially be litigious. So to answer your question, we actually do not go out and endorse products such as bipolar ionization. We're not against it, but we do feel that there is enough sort of that exists within a building, and then to be able to include some of these conventional and more conservative strategies that have been identified by ASHRAE, they certainly do a great job in minimizing the success of viral transmission.
No silver bullet. Physics is physics.
No silver bullet.
Chemistry is chemistry, right?
That's correct. Yep. So we don't. We try to stay away from a little bit, manipulating the chemical composition of the indoor air. Right. Most of what we're recommending is mechanical. Right. And you can do that by, most of these existing base building systems. Your buildings are doing a phenomenal job. You may just not have had visibility into how well you're performing. Right. And to be able to do that and to generate reports or digital signage that can resonate with the general public may sort of pinpoint that social aspect, that psychological component. So we think that we do a very good job with that as well.
Sonu, Panda.
Yes, sir.
Talk to us about prescriptive data and Nantum and your philosophy in terms of point solutions versus a single integrated platform, and what is PD doing ultimately to bring value to property owners and enterprise customers?
Yeah, absolutely. First, though, I should say that Gary Chance, who's our VP of Marketing, made me promise that I would apologize for my presentation earlier, where I spent the entire presentation with my avatar facing the screen and not the audience. Gary told me that was my best side, and he also pointed out that my avatar looks a heck of a lot better than I do in person. So apologies for that. Prescriptive Data is an interesting company, and we've taken on a really massive challenge. Using our lingo, we're an operating system for buildings. And to use some analogies, if you're a Windows person, we're Windows and the app ecosystem, both made by Microsoft and its partners on that operating system. If you're a Mac person, we're Mac OS with the Mac application ecosystem, both the stuff that Apple makes as well as the stuff that partner companies make within that ecosystem. And the idea here is to be able to provide a single environment in which all systems and the data that resides within those systems can be represented in a fashion by which they can be made actionable. And so, long story short, we like to think of Nantum, our flagship operating system, as essentially a brain for buildings. And it's an answer to a series of challenges that we see that are not only shared, but are sort of reasonably well defined by different types of stakeholders. So when we talk about building operators, we hear, generally speaking, things that reflect their desire to be able to manage better and to do that through measurement. And so people say, how do we get our hands on information to begin with? How can we have situational awareness? How can we get decision support in a moment of stress or crisis from a system that can help parse the data and help us make better decisions? How can we, in the right environment, have command and control of our building equipment or operational technology? And basically, how can we optimize the built environment without compromising the purpose of the real estate to begin with, which, at least in the context of commercial office, tends to be comfort and also productivity. So that's sort of one take on the need for a orchestration system like Nantum. The second is just frankly challenges that exist as a function of the existing technology in buildings. Controls technology that's generally hardware centric. It's not modular. It's not architected to share data. It's brittle, and oftentimes it's built with the intent of vendor lock-in. The third sort of category is people want connected experiences, but they've got to figure out a way how to deliver them across what I would call relatively porous borders, but borders nonetheless, between the owner operator, between the enterprise tenants, between even the employees of the tenant. And then fourth, obviously there's an increasingly complex environment as it relates to climate risk, both political risk and both compliance risk. And then lastly, just fundamentally, the economics of the industry are challenged right now. But to be fair, I think they were always challenging. Certainly from my point of view, real estate typically only buys technology when it's done on the basis of hard dollar savings and quick return. And so, productivity-centric solutions are hard to get sold. And so our answer to this has been this notion of a combination of an integration platform that extracts data from your existing operational technology, so you don't have to spend money, or you don't have to spend much money in order to get benefit, in combination with use case specific applications, energy centric, resource optimization oriented, and the list might go on, that we build, but that frankly we also source from third parties that are best of breed in whatever discipline they've chosen to focus on. And when you add to that artificial intelligence and machine learning, this idea that we can learn how to be effective and relevant to different types of real estate, and you combine that with intuition and knowledge from our customers, meaning from the actual folks that have been operating these buildings for tens of years, if not many tens of years, you have a really compelling story that lets us address all these challenges in one single integrated fashion.
But Sonu, talk to us about carbon accounting and carbon neutrality. If COVID hadn't have hit, and we look back at the Davos, what everybody in Davos back in January, there was every major corporation literally in the world was lining up and saying, we're going carbon neutral, we're going carbon net zero, we're going, we're driving down our consumption of fossil fuels. How does Nantum play in that game, in that role? And if so, how?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's two sides to that coin. One is, as a bunch of millennials, and by that I'm not talking about me, but as a bunch of millennials, addressing big issues, impactful issues, is sort of what excites people and gets them to come to Prescriptive Data. So we've been thinking about this particular issue a long time. We've thought about it on the backs of all those announcements you just referenced at Davos. Certainly there's up to, I think the count is now 18 geographies that have done something similar to New York as it relates to Local Law 97. But then Local Law 97 most recently has given us a real concrete target against which to really apply ourselves. So as a company, these issues, energy consumption reduction, carbon emissions reduction, has been a hot topic for quite some time. But as a function of Local Law 97, in many ways it was quite helpful because it really sharpened our focus. Rather than saying, let's save the world, which is a sort of a broad statement and one that's probably overused, we were able to really focus our time and energy on this notion that we can absolutely dramatically improve New York and have New York be a lighthouse for other geographies trying to do something similar by improving the efficiency of each building that we implement Nantum within. And so against Local Law 97, we started by parsing it into its constituent pieces, understanding the thresholds, understanding how those thresholds will change based on use of a building, as well as the mix of energy coming into the building. And we started by saying, let's take all of that data and let's essentially be able to initially visualize a building's performance relative to those constraints. So first things first, you can't manage unless you can measure. Let's measure how we're doing relative to those constraints. The next thing to do is to essentially start to prescribe recommendations in real time based on all the data we gather that helps operators optimize in the right direction against those, against those constraints. But what's interesting is that's led us on a journey that's led to perhaps an obvious conclusion, but one that I think has been a little bit of a surprise and even more rewarding than we thought it would be, which is this idea that the vast majority of owner operators, the vast majority of enterprise tenants care about their ESG posture and are looking to be able to monetize on the degree to which that they're more efficient than the market. And so where we think we're headed is this idea that in addition to reducing energy, in addition to reducing carbon equivalent emissions, we're going to write all that stuff to a blockchain so that it's absolutely undisputable what action was taken and when. all the way down to the individual provenance of individual electrons, with the idea being that that is the very beginnings of an efficiency trading market or a carbon token trading market that takes full advantage of all the good work that everyone is looking to do now, but in the future enables them to be paid for that incremental efficiency, which I think makes this a dramatically more impactful market than I think we've collectively thought of it as for quite some time.
And that'll certainly enhance the return on investment in terms of all the ECMs that everybody is doing.
Absolutely, no question.
Yeah. So Matt, back to you. Where are you going to be in, after we're through COVID and everybody's got a shot in their arm with a vaccine? Where's Radiator Labs going to be, and how are you going to ultimately save the world?
It's a great question. Thanks, John. 2021, we think is going to be a very exciting year for us. We're launching a service model. So we've eliminated the financial barrier for customers to adopt or deploy our product. They're able to get it at no cost upfront. And we establish a shared savings agreement with the building owner or a co-op or condominium, whoever the customer may be. And we think that's going to enable a great deal of deployments. Something that we find very exciting is in regards to the Climate Mobilization Act. Installing Radiator Labs or deploying Radiator Labs in your building is one of the best things you can do to reduce building carbon emissions. We're pretty confident that most of our installations are compliant with the local law 97/2024 emission guidelines, and in some cases we're compliant even with 2030 emission guidelines.
Very important goals and very important milestones to hit. Devin, same question. You're on mute, I think, Devin.
Okay, sorry about that. Thanks, John. So we're really excited about the near future and what the next year holds for us. Our goal is to continue to evolve our technology to focus on feasibility, to be able to provide customers and partners with a device and a software component that is easily scalable, nimble for different applications, and cost effective. Our goal is to transition from checklists to performance-driven standards and performance-driven reports. We do believe that we are in a great position right now, but we continue to stay hungry and continue to work on our technology, our offerings, maybe dabbling into some other indoor environmental parameters, and sort of exploring other sales channels as well, whether that's working with mechanical contractors, industrial hygienists, or MEP consultants, and assisting them by being their technology arm.
Sonu.
First things first, we're pouring additional efforts, data scientists, software engineers into our efforts to broaden our library of energy conservation measures. We think that's super critical, primarily because, as I said earlier, our experience has been that people are interested in these solutions, oftentimes for technology's sake, but they only buy on the backs of black and white ROI and quick payback. And so ongoing emphasis on delivering those benefits on a go-forward basis, that's the first thing. The second thing, though, is, as you may have seen in the press, we recently announced a broad-based cooperation and collaboration with KPMG, which, as you know, is one of the world's foremost risk managers. And as climate risk becomes more and more of a forefront issue, and climate represents a type of risk, we're particularly excited about the smart and switched on people that are taking Nansen to their clients, both in the US and globally. But then the other thing that's quite interesting is we're finding ourselves exposed to derivative markets, for lack of a better phrase, markets that we wouldn't necessarily have thought would be channels for us or potentially underwriters for building owners to acquire this type of technology. I'll just give you a couple examples. We've got banks coming to us saying that they'll give building owner operators a 25 bips discount if they implement Nansen. We're seeing insurance companies saying that they'll reduce insurance premiums by anywhere from 25 bips to 50 bips. And we're finding that generally speaking, there are probably more creative ways to underwrite these deals to ensure that owner operators get the impact that they want at the in a form of economics that they're excited about. So we're excited about those three things. And then just one last thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that we're looking for more partners. Unashamedly, I was asking Matt and Devin to join me for a beer at our office, and the offer is open for anyone that thinks that they can help bolster the ecosystem, the Nantum ecosystem. And so my thought there is that there's application providers that are best of breed in areas that we're never going to get into. There's frankly best of breed providers that compete with some of our individual apps, and I'd love to find a way to work with them just the same.
So a real operating system that is open to other application providers to add to the overall view in a single integrated platform that allows building owners to really see what's going on and ultimately then predict and prescribe what should be happening.
Absolutely, with shared economics and sort of shared and aligned outcomes.
Well, I want to thank you all for your time. I want to congratulate each of you for the individual problem sets, and to you, Sonu, for the overall top winner of the PropTech Challenge. So congratulations, keep working. The goal here is to bring you to actually create a library where, as property owners get to a certain point and they want to find out who's out there doing good things and solving particular problems, that the Real Estate Board of New York has actually created a library so that they can ultimately find those companies, dig deeper, buy your products, create a pilot, and move forward in terms of what the real estate industry in New York is trying to do to reduce our carbon, be more efficient, and be kind to our wonderful Mother Earth. So thank you all for participating, and thanks everybody out there in the audience for watching.